All right, y'all. So there was a scandal around Katie Porter. Now, she was running for the U.S. Senate seat in California. Of course, Dianne Feinstein passed away. They're filling that seat. And Adam Schiff was Nancy Pelosi's choice and the establishment Democrats' choice. Then you had Katie Porter and Barbara Lee running in the left-wing lane. Then you had Garvey, the Republican, and there were some others in there. And look, the race, there was a mathematical problem in the race for the left because you need to have either Barbara Lee or Katie Porter. If you have both of them running, they're going to split the left vote, allow Schiff to waltz right in there, right? Now, Adam Schiff had some dirty tricks up his sleeve. I'll talk more about that in a second in order for him to win. But this scandal around Katie Porter was because she, in a tweet after the election, said, thank you to my supporters. You guys mean the world to me. We were up against a lot, including billionaires rigging the election. Well, this was unacceptable. So Republicans were going after her for saying rig. You guys go after Trump for saying rig. No, you're saying rig. This is unfair. This is really a double standard. And then you had a lot of resistance liberal types, corporate Democrat types. They were like, oh, did you say the word rigged? We're against the word rigged. And again, big scandal. There was so much tweeting about this, and everybody had a take. And I'm watching like, everybody shut the fuck up. Well, anyway, Adam Schiff goes to do an interview with Jake Tapper in the wake of all this stuff and in the wake of his victory in the primary, which means he's going to win the general because now he's up against Steve Garvey, the MAGA Republican, who has no chance of winning in California. And listen to what they say, then we're going to break it down.
You actually won fairly easily. You had a clever way, that's a nice way to describe it, clever way of campaigning, which was you ran against Steve Garvey because it's a jungle primary, so the top two vote getters are the ones that you'll face off against. It will theoretically be easier for you to beat a Republican in California. You can't
look at Schiff's face. It has guilt written all over it. I'll explain why in a second, but look at his face as Tapper's talking.
Steve Garvey, because it's a jungle primary, so the top two vote getters are the ones that you'll face off against. It will theoretically be easier for you to beat a Republican in California. You campaigned in those ads against Steve Garvey.
Tapper is soft pedaling it completely, and he's being misleading on purpose. What actually happened is Adam Schiff spent money to boost up the Republican candidate. They spent money on the Republican candidate's campaign to try to galvanize a lot of Republican support out there, knowing that even if Garvey wins in this jungle primary, well, in the general, I'll still beat them because there's way more Democrats in California than there are Republicans. So it was sort of like a divide and conquer, dirty, sleazy political move. He didn't run a fair race. He didn't run an honest race. They spent a tremendous amount of money, not only boosting his own campaign, which is totally fair game, but boosting the Republican campaign so that it would be Schiff versus Garvey, and that Katie Porter and Barbara Lee, who would actually be a challenge to Schiff, they wouldn't get through. And again, Tapper's soft-pedaling it. He's not telling you the whole truth as to just how dirty what they did was. All right, let's continue.
Which might have helped him get the vote out. This is not unprecedented. We've seen this kind of thing in American politics. Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, did it against Doug Mastriano. But one of your opponents, Katie Porter, a Democratic congresswoman, complained in her concession speech and since then on Twitter, saying her campaign had to withstand, quote, an onslaught of billionaires spending millions to rig this election. What's your reaction? Let me just state, that's not rigging an election. That's not what rigging an election is. Now, maybe she didn't like your tactics, but that's not rigging an election. What was your reaction to how she's handled her loss?
Well, first of all, she called and left me a message on Friday, very graciously congratulating me. So I want to acknowledge receiving that call. That term rigging of an election is a very specific term now in the Trumpian era, which suggests ballot stuffing, fraud, etc. All those false allegations attacking the integrity of our election system. No Democrat should be using that language. And what I think is notable is the Democratic Party quickly said, hey, no, you don't go there. Republicans, on the other hand, have embraced the big lie, continue to embrace it. There is a real, I think, incredible difference between the parties when it comes to defense of democracy, but we just do not use that language.
Let's be clear about this. Adam Schiff and Jake Tapper and everybody who went after Katie Porter, they are lying. They know what she meant. They know what she meant. She's not saying, hey, Adam Schiff or Steve Garvey or the Democratic Party or the Republican Party or whoever went in there and changed ballots and changed the outcome of the election. She's not making a Trumpian claim of, I actually won the election. She's not doing that. There wasn't even an inkling of that in what she said. She wasn't even referring to the dirty tricks of Schiff to prop up Garvey. That wasn't even what she was referring to. She was saying we had to withstand an onslaught of billionaire money that was in favor of my opponents. And it was billionaires, quote, rigging the election. Everybody knows what she meant. Everybody knows that in context, it's not the same thing as Trump saying an election is rigged. Why are you being professionally stupid on purpose? And we know why they're doing it. Because they're trying to normalize not only Schiff's dirty tricks of propping up Garvey, but also normalize the idea of multinational corporations and billionaires like, this is just how the system works, baby. It's legalized bribery. It's corruption till the cows come home. Whoever takes more money from Raytheon and Boeing and Lockheed Martin and Pfizer and Google and fill in the blank with they're going to win. So I guess you better go sell out to them real quick. That's just how elections work. So, by the way, let me give you just the specifics so you understand where the outrage is coming from. You're going to, if you haven't seen this yet, you're in for something here. So here's what Katie Porter originally said. Thank you to everyone who supported our campaign and voted to shake up the status quo in Washington. Because of you, we had the establishment running scared, withstanding 3-1 in TV spending and an onslaught of billionaires spending millions to rig this election. Not a single part of that is objectionable. This is the thing they were flipping out about. This is the thing that led to an outcry and a backlash and people comparing her to Trump. Have we all lost our minds so much that we can't be honest about the nature of American politics? That she is hitting on literally the biggest problem that leads to all of the other problems in American politics. That when you have a system that makes it so billionaires can spend unlimited money and corporations can spend unlimited money, that gets the most corrupt candidates elected because they can raise the most money, they get their word out there the most, they get the most ad spending, they end up getting elected, and then they end up serving those corporations instead of the people. What she's pointing to is an objective fact, and it's the core of everything that's wrong in American politics. But since she used the word rigged, and Trump used the word rigged in a different context to say, I actually won, they're going, oh, how dare you, Katie? How dare you? So, by the way, after this fake scandal, fake backlash, I think it was Andrew Kulinski of CNN who came out and wrote this sneering, smug response. Oh, she's a rigged, it's not rigged. So it led to this firestorm, and she had released this statement afterwards. Look at this. Katie Porter says, rigged means manipulated by dishonest means. A few billionaires spent $10 million plus on attack ads against me, including an ad rated false by an independent fact checker. That is dishonest. That is dishonest means to manipulate an outcome. I said rigged by billionaires, and our politics are, in fact, manipulated by big dark money. Defending democracy means calling that out. At no time have I ever undermined the vote count and election process in California, which are beyond reproach. In other words, go fuck yourself. I'm doubling down. You all know what the fuck I meant. Stop being stupid. And she's right, but this is what the outcry's over. This is what the outcry's over. So liberals have now boxed themselves into a corner where they can't be honest and say billionaires rig elections and corporations rig elections. And by the way, she is literally not even bringing up the dirty, sleazy ass trick from Adam Schiff of propping up Garvey and spending on Garvey so that it'd be those two in the general election. I guess in Katie Porter's mind, she thinks like, look, was it dirty? Yes. Was it sleazy? Yes. But it's perfectly legal. And, you know, he's allowed to do this Game of Thrones ass Machiavellian jujitsu politics if he wants to. Right? So to her credit, she ain't bringing that up. She's simply bringing up the impact of big money. And Adam Schiff is one of the biggest corporate Democrat sellouts in the entire goddamn country. So let's stop being professionally dumb, please. Jake Tapper, Adam Schiff, Andrew Kulinski. Not only is she right, she is the most right about the nature of American politics and the core of every single problem that we face. And if your hatred of Trump leads you to a place where you disregard all context and ban use of the word rigged in American politics, even though it is rigged to a large extent, well, that's your fucking problem. and you make yourself look totally out of touch, and everybody can see it but your smug asses. Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.